So another film, another departure from sort of the type of role we've seen you in before. Was that sort of one of the overall appeals of the part?
Yeah, and just the general originality of the script. Like, there isn't anything else I'd read that was like this. I maintain people who go and see it will not have seen a film like this for a while, if ever. And definitely, playing an American, playing a modern American, which is not something I've done before. And playing. I have played an American before, but it was Allen Ginsberg, who's like a closeted sort of gay teen in the 1940s. To Ig Perish, alive sort of in the modern day, is a very different kind of American character, and so it was my first time playing somebody like that, and it was great fun. It was the chance to work with Alex Azar and Juno Temple and Joe Anderson, Max Minghella. It was a really good group, and as I said, the script was dark and funny and genuinely romantic in a completely unsentimental way, and I thought it was great.
Dark, funny, romantic, unsentimental. I mean, it really does tick a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
It reminded me sort of a modern day messed up fairy tale. Like, it had sort of elements almost of Dr. Faustus about it.
Yeah.
It had that.
That's a great, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's really a lovely comparison. I think Alex, when he introduces the film, normally calls it a fable, which is I think he's saying the same thing, and I think that I always saw it as being magical realism, which is to me the fact that the world is very grounded, and then there's this one extraordinary event that's happening in the middle of it is what I think makes it such an exciting movie to watch. I've always felt that that kind of storytelling where, I mean, in this case we're borrowing from religious imagery and symbolism of horns and devils and angels and those kind of things, but we're not telling a story about religion. We're using that imagery to tell a very human story. I think that's always kind of the appeal of fantasy to me.
When you talk about magical realism and the fact that you're sort of basing it in a real world,
yeah,
is that if you suddenly explained the horns, is that where it stops? It becomes almost like a farce.
I mean, I think Joe Hill, I think it was Joe Hill, said this to me at one point. He said, explanation in fantasy is death. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of brilliant. Because also the great thing about, as you say, a fable as well, is that it's sort of open to interpretation. So I had always thought this was a film about what, the idea of you become what you're perceived as, and the whole town vilifies him and literally demonizes him, and so he becomes the devil that they sort of see him as. But somebody else came up to me the other day and said, they thought it was about what we become when we lose the love of our life. So you can sort of project your own meaning onto why they're there and just like have fun along the way.
When you talk about having fun, I mean, there is sort of an absurdist comedy element to this.
Very much so, yeah.
Is there a fine line, and sort of you need to nail that, you need to get that right, otherwise then it becomes a completely different film?
I think you do, there is a fine line, but I also think you need to have it, because if you're making a film about somebody who grows devil horns and you have no sense of humour about yourself, you're going to come unstuck, I feel like, because it is funny. And part of great comedy, I think, is people reacting to extraordinary situations very naturalistically, like as you would. So when the horns are coming out of somebody's head, his reaction is to freak out. He doesn't react to it in that kind of movie way of like, okay, now I have horns, cool. It's like he freaks out and goes to the doctors and tries to get them removed. Like and also the amount of comedy that comes out of just because the horns get people to confess their deepest, darkest side of themselves, and so the amount of there's a lot of comedy that is mined from that as Ig sort of gets used to having the horns over the first day.
Last time I spoke to you was for What If, so a romantic comedy of sorts. Obviously it wasn't straight down the romantic comedy genre. This is, it's not horror really, is it? It ticks a lot of boxes.
It's hard to define.
Period drama, Potter obviously, magical realism, I guess. Is that what Potter is?
I suppose so, yeah. Fantasy, it's sort of under the same umbrella.
What's next? Is sci-fi the only box left?
Yeah, westerns. I guess there's that. Yeah, I mean, I'm it's a funny thing. I think genre is something that is discussed much more on press tours than it is ever when you're choosing scripts, because we're just like, you're not going, we don't have the luxury of going, I want to look for the best possible horror or the best possible comedy. You're just going like, I'm looking for something that's good, something that I like, something that excites me, and you kind of know whenever that passes you by. And with something like Horns, the thing that was so exciting about it was that it was hard to pin down into a genre. So hopefully, that'll be kind of what, I continue to find things that are as diverse as this is the ideal.
I don't tell you on a daily basis. I don't know what you get up to in your life, but probably I'm guessing the worst thing you got up to recently was visiting the Star Wars set.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in every single interview until next December, There we go. You got a cameo role in Star Wars.
Oh no, yeah, and I can say though, like I really don't. No, I do not have a cameo in Star Wars. I was obviously very excited to visit the set, but I was very excited because so many of the crew from Potter now work there. So my friend Will and Amanda and Lisa, who are the heads of the hair and makeup department, who were sort of like raised me partially when I was on set. That it was those are the people that I was very, very excited to see. But I also did get to have a cool conversation with Harrison Ford, which is awesome.
Going to the other Star Trek. Just
oh yeah.
This interview off.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you in Star Trek 3.
Oh yeah. Where's this going? I'm intrigued.
Sci-fi. Leonard Nimoy took home his prosthetic ears.
Oh yeah.
He's got a pair in a drawer.
Can I just say that is maybe the best segue I've ever seen. Done. That was well done.
Have you got a pair of rubber horns tucked away in Radcliffe House?
I do. I have one set. There were 7 different stages of the horns, and I kept sort of one of the larger final stages of them because they're pretty cool, and I definitely wanted some.
Cool, Daniel, thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Cheers.
That really was great. Did you have that planned?
No,
that was really good. That was